Welcome to our 5 on 5. Please be joined today by Chuck Harwood, the Northwest Regional Director for the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. Good to see you, sir.
Hi, Craig.
So in case anybody doesn't know, what does the FTC do exactly?
Well, the FTC is a 100-year-old law enforcement agency. We are proudly bipartisan. We try hard to stay that way. We are engaged in law enforcement, and we have a very broad jurisdiction. We enforce both antitrust laws, so those are laws that prohibit anti-competitive activities by businesses and individuals, and we also enforce consumer protection laws. Those are laws that prohibit unfair, deceptive practices, false advertising, the use of consumer information illegally, breaches of consumer privacy, and finally the laws that prohibit scams that all of us hear about all the time and oftentimes find ourselves having to deal with. So it's really a broad jurisdiction, and we have broad responsibilities.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, you have a broad area as Northwest Director. 6 states, I believe, you oversee.
Yeah, so our jurisdiction at the FTC in my region, that's the region, Northwest region, includes Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Alaska, Montana, Wyoming. And they're huge states in terms of geography, lots of diversity in terms of population. But the thing that people need to understand is no matter where you live in that region, no matter whether you live in a large city like Seattle or whether you live in a small rural place like French Glen, Oregon, or somewhere down here in Southern Oregon, you are going to be targeted by scammers. They don't care where you live. They don't care who you are. Everyone, all of us are targeted by scammers.
Yeah, and I definitely want to ask you about scams. Before we get there, though, I do want one more question. How have changes in the marketplace, and the ever-evolving marketplace, of course, affected your work at the FTC?
Well, it's really been a challenge for us. The world really has changed. We used to talk about dealing with trade on Main Street. These days, it's trade on the information superhighway. The products are coming from overseas. Consumers are literally shopping worldwide. They're no longer just shopping down the street. We are seeing there's a vast amount of consumer information out there that's being used legally and illegally. Privacy is important to all of us, but yet a lot of our information is easily available to merchants who want to use it and target products to us. We're seeing all kinds of new platforms that products can be marketed on. Twitter is now a marketing platform. Facebook, of course, all kinds of different challenges like that. In fact, there are also new business opportunities for consumer small businesses. These days, a consumer can easily set up a storefront on the internet to sell products and services. So it really has changed, and a lot of that's been due to the way that we interact with the internet and the way that we sell and buy products on the internet.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, then we'll talk about some of those scams. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Chuck Harwood, the Regional Director of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. We're talking about scams. How often or how much money have you been able to get back to people after all these scams?
Well, that's a great question, Craig. And it can be frustrating because a lot of times by the time we track down these scammers, we find they've spent most of the money. But we've had some success over the past year or two. Last year alone, the FTC gave back $122 million directly to consumers throughout the United States, including almost $1 million to consumers here in Oregon.
Wow.
About 27,000 consumers received money from Oregonian from the FTC last year alone. And that happens because people let us know they've been scammed, people file complaints with the FTC.gov, and we try whenever we can to get their money back for them.
Yeah, it's tax season. It's a big time for scams. What should people be looking out for to keep their information safe?
Well, there are a couple things. First of all, be aware that that folks who claim to be from the IRS are going to be calling you. They're not from the IRS. The IRS doesn't make phone calls. They'll be trying to scare you into paying money quickly before you think about it and realize it's really not the IRS. So be careful. Particularly be careful if they call and say they want to be paid by something called a gift card or something like an iTunes card or something like that. That's because scammers want to convince you to pay them right away. They want to convince you to pay them in a way that can't easily be traced. It's anonymous. It can't easily be reversed. And gift cards provide all those features. Once you give the scammer the information on the back of that gift card, the money is gone. You'll never see it again. So be careful of those kinds of things. Also, people should be aware that scammers are out there trying to do things like file tax returns in their name, tax ID theft. So file returns early, pay attention, protect your records. And just understand that scammers know how to play the system very well, and they will use whatever strategies they can to convince you to play along with them.
Yeah, we talked about during the break about, in the news business, we hear every type of scam, it seems, every other day from one of our local law enforcement agencies. Credit card payoff scams. I haven't heard much about these. Yeah,
so what we hear about a lot is companies calling and individuals calling and advertising saying, we can help you get out of debt. We can help you pay off your credit card debt. We can help you pay off your student loan debt. That's a huge issue these days because so many of us have student loan debts. The trick, though, to know is that what's happening in those cases is oftentimes they're going to collect money from the consumer up front. Pay us $500,000 and we'll help you then pay off your debt. And the chances that consumers will actually get out of debt are not very high, if at all. We hear over and over again multiple examples of where consumers have been told that pay them amount of money and they'll get out of debt, and when they find out, in fact, at the end of the payoff period, they're actually in greater debt. Lots of times, picking the student loan industry, we hear of people who end up owning hundreds, if not thousands, of extra dollars as a result of one of these scams.
Wow, that's terrible. Thanks for taking the time for us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.